All right, you guys, Real Housewives of New York, season 14, the reboot is over. We're at the reunion, part 1. Here are sort of my hot takes on the reunion. I'm going to cover the show beats and some quick opinions. First and foremost, we have Uba coming in hot at Jenna Lyons. I'm not quite sure why, but we will find out in part 2 why. It seems a little disconnected in part 1 because she doesn't really get to follow through with why she's pissed at Jenna, which we're going to find out. But she comes in and she's like, Jenna is a powerhouse in real life. And on the show, she's constantly putting herself down and making herself into a victim. And I don't understand why she does that. And I think initially Uba's feeling was that she was kind of being two-faced and people were afraid to call that out. And Uba didn't want to be afraid to call that out because she's pissed at Jenna right now. But it came off very disconnected in the beginning of the show. So I just wanted to say that. It's like you can tell she was like, I have to say it and make sure it gets in the edit. And it didn't fit in the flow that Shed and Andy had put together for this reunion. So I felt bad for Uba about that. It's a terrible feeling. Now, Jenna's rebuttal to this was pretty good. She said, listen, I'm not showing myself as a businesswoman on this show. I'm showing my sort of inner personal side of myself on the show. So why would I have to be a powerhouse? Because it's not a show about me being like this incredible businesswoman. It's a show about who I am. And so who I am is vulnerable, and I didn't have to show the other aspect of myself. Good point. So then the next thing that happens is Sai says to Aaron, you lied on all of these podcasts about me going to your house and complaining that all there was to eat was cheese. This wasn't true. And why did you say it on all these podcasts and set me up like that? And Aaron basically says, well, it sort of was true and this and that. But then in the end, it comes out that Aaron lied about this. And this is going to be a theme because Aaron's called out as a liar a few times on the show. So some of the women feel that Aaron is rude. That's their impression of her. But Uba doesn't think Aaron's rude. She just thinks she's a gaslighter. Well, we see Jenna break down and she starts crying about how her mom knew that she wasn't making the connection with her daughter, Jenna, and it was heartbreaking because the mother wanted to connect but didn't know how because of her disability. And Jenna suffered as a result of that, not ever being able to connect or have affection with her mom. Brynn really felt for Jenna in that situation because Brynn obviously had, a very difficult childhood as well, given that both her parents were drug addicts and not there for her. And so Brynn really does reach out and tries to support Jenna. Andy wants to know, is this the reason that you guys connected so much? And Brynn's like, no, not really. That was really not the reason. We just kind of liked each other and supported each other. And Brynn really came out saying, I really dislike Aaron off the show because I feel like Aaron has a double standard and I don't, she judges me all the time and I can tell and I don't like it and I'm not held to the same standards. And she thinks Aaron and some of the other women kissed Jenna Lyons' ass. Now, one of the cool teas that got spilled on the show was that Uba says that 3 of the women did not want Jenna Lyons on the show and she outs them. And Andy's like, ooh, we'll get to that later. I don't think she was supposed to bring that up. But they had to show it because it was juicy AF. Oh, one really wild thing that happens is Andy Cohen calls out that Jessel moved to New York for the show. Jessel tries to downplay it by saying that she was from both Dallas and a little LA and also New York, but we still have a house in Dallas and all this stuff. And Andy wanted to make it clear that he didn't know that Jessel had moved to New York to be on the show, which is absolutely what she did. I've been saying it in my show since before New York launched because I did a deep dive on Jessel when she was first announced. So I already knew that she had moved to New York to be on the show. Anyway, Andy calls it out. The reason he did is he's pissed because he went on saying all these women represent authentic New Yorkers and all this stuff. And Jessel was supposed to be the Indian representation of New York. Turns out she's not from New York. So like he looked like an idiot. And that's exactly how I narrated it. You're welcome. Next time, hire real New Yorkers. So another thing that happens is all the women get very emotional, but Sai doesn't break down. She says, listen, I feel bad for women or whatever, but I'm not going to baby them like children or cry for them like children. You know, my life's been tough. I'm tough, and I don't treat adults that way. I treat my friends, like adult friends. I treat my children like children. I don't comfort my adult friends. I only comfort my children. Sai also said that she thinks that Jessel's marriage is troubled and not great. And even though Jessel's saying you shouldn't talk about my family, how dare you, and all this stuff, Sai's like, look, I'm sorry, but you said you didn't sleep with your husband for a year and a half. And then on top of saying all that, you know, there was all this weird stuff going around. You seem to be lying about things. And then Vietnam, what do you expect me to do? And your relationship didn't look that great. You guys started out like roommates. You weren't that into each other. Then you get into each other. And it just didn't seem like a great marriage from afar. But I shouldn't be commenting on your marriage. It's not my place. So she acknowledges that. But she's like, but I will. And it looked terrible. And Jessel is just sort of like, our relationship isn't terrible. It's just that I was doing IVF, and that's how we have our 2 kids. And the truth of the matter is that when you do IVF, you don't want to have sex after. Is that true? The best part of the evening was the fight between Sai and Brynn because it was real. And essentially, Sai was dragging Brynn and on podcast stating that she was pissed that Brynn spilled Uba's secret about her Connecticut man. And by the way, I was right. Remember I said it's probably got to do with his job that she doesn't want it out because a lot of finance guys live out in Connecticut, let's face it. And so, yeah, that was the reason Uba didn't want her man's intel out. But needless to say, Brynn was very upset because Sai got so angry about her spilling the secret that Uba had told Sai, and it was really Sai's fault for spilling the secret. But Sai said, listen, Aaron and I really did think we were safe and telling you something in confidence, and you said it anyway, and I didn't like that. But Sai said, I probably was more angry at myself and took it out on you because I was mad at myself. And so Brynn seemed satisfied with that. But then Brynn wanted to still have a fight with Sai. So she said, listen, I heard you also called me a slut and questioned where I got my money from. And Sai's like, I didn't question where your money from, and I never called you a slut. And then Brynn said, well, that's what I heard. Said Sai's like, I didn't say it. But then Brynn said to Sai, you know I have a job. You know what I do. And Sai's like, I don't know what you do. And she's like, you do, because I signed a contract with you back in 2017 for Aveeno, and I did the brand or something with you. And Sai was like, I mean, that was years ago. I don't know what you do. And Brynn's like, I work a 9 to 5. I'm just like, what? Huh? What are we watching? Uba said a really cool thing about the modeling industry. She said that it's become much more inclusive and that women of all different ages and looks and sizes are now getting jobs. And for her, that means she's going to be able to work longer. So she was really happy about that. She said she lucked out with the way the modeling industry is now. And Jenna agreed. Jenna also gave Uba some advice about her hot sauce. She said, don't try to become corporate. Keep your hot, spicy way about you because it goes with your hot sauce brand. And in the end, companies are going to invest in you, not your deck. Andy asked Jessel if her kids were going to $35,000 a year school, and Jessel said, yes, they are going to $35,000 a year school. And then Jenna chimed in that that's just where it starts for preschool, etc., and then goes up from there. But Andy smelled like I smelled BS, because he is a kid in private school. And I went to Nightingale Bamford in New York City to private school, and I know how much things cost way back in the day, never mind now, and that number was way too low. So I think Andy kind of questioned, again, like, you're not from New York. He's pissed. I can tell on the show he was pissed. Like, he was kind of saying, like, here I am going out in front of everybody being like, you guys are representing New York and you're not even a New Yorker. The real representation of New York, and you're not even from New York. And by the way, Bryn was treading lightly there because she's from LA. But she calls Andy daddy and is up his ass, so he's going to be okay with her. And he needs her. She's the only one who makes drama. Bryn also admits that she wants to have children, and she's now excited to have children because she sees other dysfunctional people in the cast having children and doing a great job, and this is inspiring her to have kids. Now she's looking, and of course she does a few things about money and looking for a guy with money, and we hear that murmured between her and Uba. Same shit, different day. Aaron somehow ducked a lot of heat, other than looking like a liar a lot, because I didn't go into all the instances, but there were quite a few where people said, you said this on camera, and then after it just wasn't right, or you said this on a show and it wasn't true. And so really Erin's kind of owning that she's a shit starter, and she does lie, for the show if needed. All in all, it was a heartfelt Real Housewives of New York reunion part 1. I did enjoy it. Andy went almost too high level on this one. He could have gotten a lot more granular on some of the questions. I really wanted him to drill in, and he didn't. He kept it really like what happened in Vietnam? Like what actually did he do? Did he go? Did Pavit go to Vietnam? And what did he do there? How is their relationship now? Are they having regular sex, Jessel and him, or are they still weird like that? Is Erin a swinger or not? And why is her husband so into sex? Please tell me. That's the kind of questions I'm looking for on the reunion. You want me to do more? Okay, Uba, so what about your guy's job makes it difficult for you to talk about him on our show? What's he afraid of? That's a good question. She doesn't have to tell us what he does. Just tell us what he's afraid of. And Bryn, why are you in LA all the time? And tell us a day-to-day operation of your job. Where do you live, Bryn? And Bryn, maybe if you didn't come off as such a gold digger, maybe people wouldn't be making allegations against you that you're a slut and they don't know how you get your money. I'm just saying. Maybe someone could say that on the reunion and let her respond. Oh yeah, maybe you're right. This is my reunion. Anyway, you guys, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Part 2's next week. And then we're wrapping this sucker up. I'm not sure I'm going to do next season. We'll have to see. Maybe some good gossip comes out. Some people start really showing their secrets.